Mwah. Hi, Leather Rokk here. That was Tabby Boy. Welcome to my channel. Let's get closer to the light, shall we? Today, I'm going to present a couple story times to you. You know, truth can really be stranger than fiction. The kind of week I had this week, you will not believe it. I'm going to tell you a story about a fake cop and a ghetto girl and bullies on Facebook. And all this happened in 1 week. And in no particular order, a couple days ago, I was looking out my window as a person would do, and I saw a girl sitting on the curb. She had her hair in braids, and she was undoing her braids. Okay, fine. And then what she did was quite shocking. As she was undoing her braids, big handfuls of what I guess must be fake hair came out, and all she did as she was undoing her braids, she threw her big handfuls of long fake hair, threw them into right in the gutter, right out my window. This is what people do. They take braids out, which apparently is fake hair, and just throw them in the gutter like this is their personal living room. And of course, nobody's wearing a mask or any kind of, personal protection or anything. Nobody's social distancing, because in the ghetto, people don't care. They don't care if they get disease, because they're not going to get sick. They'll just pass it on to their parents or, maybe somebody I love. They don't care. So that happened. And then a couple hours later, there was a guy I noticed in a car in front, and he was running his engine, and he had some suspicious looking crackhead type girl came in and out. But what bothered me more than anything was the gunning of the engine, because when you idle engines, you're spewing carbon dioxide into the air, and carbon monoxide, and you know that those particulate matters and all that stuff is really bad for people with breathing problems. And there's a lot of seniors and disabled people in the neighborhood, and people who have very sensitive hearts and lungs, like my mother, for instance, who really can't breathe polluted air like that. So after a few minutes of my noticing that this motor was running, I ran outside with the cordless phone extension, the kind that look kind of like bricks, like old-fashioned cell phones. And I told the guy that in the city there is an ordinance that you cannot have engines idling for more than 10 minutes because it makes the air bad. And you know what this guy tried to tell me? He tried to tell me that he was actually a police officer, and he was undercover, and he was stationed where he was so that he could watch people on the corner looking for riffraff or something. And he pointed to his jacket that that seemed to have an American flag patch on it. Since when does a jacket with an American flag patch prove that a person's a police officer? I mean, it would stand to reason that if he really was a vice cop of some kind, he would just show me the badge. And of course, I didn't think to ask for a business card or anything, because when it comes to police officers, especially when I'm upbraiding somebody and then all of a sudden they tell me they're a cop, and what reaction could I have except to apologize and then to thank him for his service? But the more I thought about it, I realized that he couldn't possibly be a legitimate police officer, because even though I understand that if you're an undercover cop, you're not going to have what looks like a cop car, one of the windows, or one of the side mirrors was totally out. The mirror on the passenger side, the mirror was out, and there was just wires dangling. And I know darn well that if you're driving around with something like that and a cop sees you, he'd pull you over and you get a fix-it ticket. So that, if he was undercover, that was an awful good job at blending in with the riffraff. But now I really feel uncomfortable, because I realize that this dirtball, I just proved myself to be adversarial to him. I proved myself to be somebody who is sympathetic and supportive of most police officers. And now I probably have more enemies on my list. Nice. Welcome to the ghetto. So my third little incident I want to talk to you about involves Facebook. This has been a really weird week. Now, because of COVID-19 and everything, more and more people, I'm sure, are spending more time on social media, especially considering that that is probably the best substitute we can have for the human connection, especially if you're shut in your house, you're or social distancing, you can't have your normal social life. We're all online more than ever. And I never really wanted to join Facebook. It was never my intention. I only begrudgingly joined a little less than 2 years ago on part of peer pressure from family and friends that basically the whole consensus was you must be on Facebook because that's where the world is. And if you want to be found by the world, you have to be on Facebook. And as a person with a YouTube channel that wants to build my audience, it seems to me you have to go where the world is. And so begrudgingly I joined, and I really have a love-hate relationship, mostly hate with Facebook, and sometimes I absolutely rue the day I joined Facebook, even though I do have to admit that I have made a small handful of very decent friends on it, and I have made some political allies on it, and through Facebook I have been able to learn about events that I could go to when I go to Washington, D.C., that I probably wouldn't have found out otherwise. That said, I am trying the best that I can to live a comfortable life, preserve my privacy, be able to enjoy my free speech, and have a happy life on it. And something happened this week that was very disturbing. In response to, you know how sometimes you get these friends requests, and then after they friends request you, then they act all disappointed because once they see your private posts, they realize that maybe you don't have as much in common with them than they think. Or maybe, horror of horrors, they might discover that you belong to the wrong political party. And apparently this is what happened. There was somebody who'd friended me, and it was a friend of a mutual friend, and matter of fact was an attractive person also, and so there was all these reasons I figured, sure, give this person a shot, even though they did not have very much information open to the public, so I really couldn't know anything about them. So a lot of times when you accept a friend's request, you're taking a leap of faith. You're trusting that they're not going to be a jerk, you're trusting that their intentions are honorable, and you're hoping that it's not going to be something you regret. So after I had accepted the friend's request, then I got to look at this person's archives, and I saw that this person was an extreme hater of President Trump. And I'm thinking, oh geez, here we go again, because this is one of those people that every other post he made was anti-Trump, blaming Trump for this and that, and it gets really tiring to hear a lot of negativity, especially about somebody that you admire. And I honestly probably wouldn't have accepted a friend's request if I had known our politics were so divergent, because it's really hard for people to be civil when it comes to political disagreements. It's unfortunate, and not everybody is like that, but that does seem to be the way it is. So, in response to realizing how different we were, I decided to make a public post on Facebook that basically was to the effect that if you intend to friend me, you should know where I stand. And the first thing I said was I support President Trump. And then I went on to uh, list some of my left-wing uh, causes and some of my right-wing causes, because I think, like most people are probably not exclusively on the left or on the right, but tend to be somewhere in the center, because I would think that people think for themselves and don't just blindly follow what their friends say or what the news says. If you have a brain, you should be able to think for yourself. And I thought that by my making a public post and saying where I stood, it would basically give people something to think about before just blindly friending people. Now, also as a way of background, I will say that I have been making more friends only posts than public posts lately, because there's somebody who I'm guessing was either a high school classmate or a friend of a high school classmate, and she changes, I guess it's a she, I really don't know, goes and makes these fake profiles and harasses me but only can harass me on public posts, because if she's not on my friends list, obviously she can't see friends only things. And this is a person who has doxed me. And you know what doxing is, don't you? Doxing is when you post private information without somebody's permission. It could be anything from their former name to just anything that's not their business. And it's happened to me in the past, and it's a really creepy thing. So that's part of the reason why I don't make as many public posts as I was. But I mean, certain things I make public all the time, such as my YouTube videos and such as cat rescue bulletins and things. But so I make this public post saying where I stand politically, and it went viral. I don't know. And people started sharing it, and I started getting all these comments from strangers, and they were all Trump haters. And these were people that had all these ad hominem attacks. They got really personal. Everything from just catty things like posting a picture of what looks like Bozo the Clown's shoes, and you know what they're saying. And just all kinds of insults, some worse than others, all these negative things. And if you are on Facebook, you know how you don't just have the thumbs up sign. You have all these different emojis they have now, including the laughter, So apparently my life's a joke, and all these strangers are saying all these rude things. And okay, if it's one or two people, no big deal. Usually when you have bullies, there's not a whole lot of them, but you can handle a couple at a time. It's not that big of a deal. But and I'm not exaggerating, in the space of a couple of hours, I'm going to estimate I had at least 100 strangers making rude, defamatory comments, really petty. A lot of them were things about my appearance, making fun of different body parts, making fun of my makeup, making fun of different facial features, making fun of my hair. Some people lifted some pictures from my Facebook profile, posted them on there, and made derisive comments. And I don't think they were ugly pictures. I don't think I go posting ugly pictures. These were people that were just being really offensive, really hurtful. And I don't want to seem like I'm the kind of person that lets things get to me, but within a day's time, I bet I had between 100 and 200, closer to 200 different people making really vile, disgusting, hurtful posts. And I'm thinking, how do I handle this? And one of the things I tried doing is retorting to individual people and calling them names and things. But guess what Facebook does? Facebook gives me, contacts me and says that only I could see this, and said that my retorts to these people violated community standards. Now, let me get this straight. A person can harass me, call me names, say personal things, post pictures and make fun of them, use profanities, use all kinds of insults, and Facebook somehow tolerates this. But if I respond to individual people in kind and I look for hurtful things to say to them, then Facebook tells me that I violated community standards. Okay. And even if I say something very juvenile like eat shit and die, which is one of the things I said, that apparently violates Facebook's community standards. All right. So the bullying continues, and it was starting to get to me, so I made a couple of friends only posts, asking maybe some of my friends could just scroll down a couple of pages and find the post and maybe opine. In other words, I was asking for backup. And so some of them are saying, oh, they couldn't find the post and everything. I'm saying, do I have to go scroll down and find it and look and see everything again myself? I mean, I shouldn't have to keep on looking at these offensive things. So finally, I actually had to do that, and I pinged a few of my friends in so that they could do some, I don't know what it is I expected, maybe just have them yell at them too and fight them so that I'm not the only one fighting 200 people. I shouldn't have to defend myself against 200 people. How can one person do that? I don't know that it's possible. So, long story short, I've come to the decision that I shouldn't have to tolerate it, and I think I'm just going to leave Facebook altogether. And the thing is, I know that a large percentage of, or maybe not a large percentage of, a healthy percentage of my traffic to my YouTube channel does come from Facebook. And so every time I eliminate one of my promotional tactics that could potentially hurt my channel and expose me to less of an audience, and as a very, 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 very micro influencer, I don't think I want to do that. But I have to think of my emotional well-being and my happiness at the same time. And since Facebook seems to have proven itself not only that it is capable of censorship, but that Facebook has no vested interest in stopping bullying, even though they give lip service to community standards, there doesn't seem to be any way to ask Facebook to help a person if they're being ganged up on. You would think that with all the tragedies we hear about bullying, which affects people of all ages and all walks of life, it's not just a children's issue. It happens to people in the workplace. It's supposed to be something that allegedly is taken seriously now, but Facebook doesn't care. And especially if the person being bullied is a Republican, that's being all the harassers on that post was all due to politics, or people giving out and out lies saying that I shouldn't support Trump because, and then they'll say things that are absolutely wrong, and you can't fight 200 people at the same time. So then I made another post which was public, and I guess I forget exactly what I said, but it was basically words to the effect that this was unacceptable, and I needed some backup. And of course, people laughed at that too. So that was 3 days ago. I have not been on Facebook for 3 days. And the thing is, that is hurting me in the pocketbook also, because some of the internet day job task sites that I work on, some of them have Facebook codes that I have to check, and they're actually worth money. And since I'm not on Facebook anymore, I am missing an income stream. So I have to choose between my emotional well-being and my YouTube promotion and means of financial support. But I really do think that I'm going to leave Facebook, because if Facebook tolerates harassment and bullying, does not enjoin free speech, or if they think that they're for free speech, but they certainly don't do anything about people bullying and harassing people, it doesn't seem like the kind of place that I want to be on. So, just like I am not posting on, just like I'm not posting on Spreely.com anymore, I am leaving Facebook alone, and I'm expecting maybe next week I will just delete my profile there. It's not worth it. And that means that if anybody who is actually my friend wants to get in touch with me and they don't already have my email address or phone number, and a lot of people don't have my phone number because I'm really not much of a phone person anyway, I'm either going to lose touch with them, or they're just going to have to hit me up here. Oh, and you guys sure have already figured out that the reason why I moderate comments is so that I don't have to deal with bullying here. Plus, it makes it easier for me to respond to comments when I see them. I can't miss comments if they're moderated. So that is a convenience, and I'm glad that we have that feature. All right, this was a lot to put in one video. I'm not sure everything belonged here, but I wanted to get it out there. It's now 3:21 in the morning. I would really like to go to bed, but in the daytime there's too much noise in my house to film as much as I'd like to, and but yeah, that's how it is. If you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you like me and my content, I'd love to have you subscribe. Make 3 new videos a week on whatever I feel like it, and I'd like to have you along for my adventures. And once COVID-19 is in our rearview mirror, I will be able to go on some real adventures. I'd love to have some company. Till then, talk to you soon. Bye.